Hi there, and welcome to the Good Enough Battle Companies podcast. My name's Chris Piercy from Good Enough Scenery, joined as always by my friend Stephen from When I Can Hobby.
Hello.
That was a very delicate, and if you could see the look on his face as he did that, it was a very kind way of introducing himself. Now, I was going to start off by just bitching a little bit. So, so I'm doing plans for each episode.
Yeah.
And so at the start of the plan for this week's episode was talk about the game we had on Thursday. But I've had to delete that bit because unfortunately Stephen couldn't come on Thursday. So I went to the shop where we play and shout out to Jedi Archives.
Yeah.
Went there and Stephen had warned me he probably wasn't going to show, and he didn't show, and then I left. So there's no updates on the companies this week, is what I'm trying to tell you.
There's no. I mean, the only updates is obviously I've started another company, painting another company, which is my Iron Hill Dwarves. So
Nice.
I've started painting these little chaps here, and they are 3D printed because I cannot bear the idea of forking out a ridiculous amount of money for Forge World models. So
The Iron Hills models, I think I'm right in saying it's 48 quid for 3 goat riders.
it's something ridiculous. The amount of money you'd have to spend to get just a battle company is enough to get an army in pretty much any other game system. It's not good. So, and
Yeah, well that's not good, is it?
but the thing is what upsets me about it is Middle Earth Battle Strategies is such an easy game to play, and it's such an easy community of people there. I just feel like Games Workshop missed a boat on this. When they just drop the ball, don't support it, and then on the flip.
I think that they just make so much money from 40k that they probably just don't care.
Yeah,
And I think 40k is like the biggest game system in the world, so they're probably like, yeah, we could put some money into like MESBG, but also 40k. Here's some models we know that a billion people are going to buy. So
here's another Space Marine lieutenant.
yeah, I'm sure it's great, but I've not played since second edition, and I've got no plans to. So yeah, there we go. And I've not done anything particularly with battle companies, but I have started my new mountainous modular board, which I'm very excited about. I've just put the first construction part tutorial on my YouTube channel, which went live about an hour ago. So if you want to build a board, then head there. Good Enough Scenery. Right, should we get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Right, so we are going to start this week by discussing one of the scenarios. I think each week we're going to try and do one scenario and 2 battle companies. I think that's the general idea. So we're going to start with the very first scenario, which is called Chance Encounter. Bear with me for one of my dramatic readings, which I'm not doing in the. I've decided I'm not doing the Sean Bean voice at all anymore. It's just
You
it's
should
not
do
going
the
to
Sean
happen.
Bean.
Really?
Go on.
I'm just going to break after like the first line. There's only one way to get into Sean Bean voice, you bastard. Yeah. On their travels through Middle Earth, 2 opposing battle companies have happened upon each other. A company that seemingly alone and with no support in sight is not an opportunity to pass up lightly. As the companies engage, a solid tactical mind and a skill at arms will see victory won.
Ooh.
So basically, you have to fight each other
Until they're dead.
until they're dead. So, how I want to know people's thoughts on how good my Sean Bean was there. I think
It was beautiful.
I think I went I think I went little bit Lancastrian at points, which is not good for a Yorkshireman. So, anyway, so yeah, this is. I mean, shall I read out what this is all about? Do you want to read it out? Or should we just talk about what it's all about?
I think well, basically it's you start up.
It's a simple one.
Yeah, I think we just toss about it. It's literally you start up on either side of the board. It's obviously it's a 4 foot by 4 foot board for battle companies, and you have 12 inches on your side, the entire width of your side to set up. The opposition player has 12 inches to set up. And then obviously you got the victory, defeat, and draw conditions. So victory is your opponent's battle company has been reduced to 25% of its starting models, and yours has not. Defeat is obviously the opposite, that you've been reduced to 25% and the opponent's has not. And a draw is both battle companies have been reduced to 25% in the same turn. So it's just a slogging match, isn't it? Like, you know, you're just out there killing away, like, you know.
Out there, just I mean, it's the perfect game to for a newbie just to come in. So there's no special rules about how you set up, particularly just like there's your 12 inches, there's my 12 inches. There's no rolling for board edges. There's no objective holding. It's just like, cool, you've got some models, I've got some models. Let's fight until enough of us are dead that the game has finished.
The game is over.
So there's a before we go into this, there is a note about smaller table dimensions, and I think a lot of people think that you have to have a 4 foot by 4 foot board, but essentially you play with what you've got. I mean, if you've got I think a standard dining room table is like 3 foot by 5 foot, right? Like you don't have to go, oh well we can't play then. You can adjust how the size of the deployment zones if you want to, or you can just play on a smaller table. I mean, starting off, you're going to have somewhere between 6 and 10 models, something like that. So to begin with, at least, just play on a smaller area and chuck some more scenery down. That's simple enough. So what do you think of this scenario?
I think as a start-up and just be able to get to understand the game, you know, it's quite easy thing to get going, like, you know. I believe it's kind of one of those ones that you can make it very interesting just by adding scenery. Adding levels, adding height, adding woods, adding scenery to it, you can make it an interesting one. And to be honest, like, it's not a bad one. It's not one I whenever we go play, I like to have something that's got a little bit of interest in it. But, you know, if you roll the dice on the games and you end up with this one, I'm not complaining either. Like, you know, it's it's just one of those ones that, you know, it is very vanilla, but you can make it a bit Neapolitan. You know, you can add a couple of flavours. You know, a bit of chocolate, a bit of strawberry.
Are we really going down the ice cream analogy flavour route for the? we done that last week.
Safe, I do.
I know I'm allowed to use ice cream analogies. I'm going to go with that. Now I'm looking at the list of scenarios, and this might actually be my least favourite.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, like we said, perfect for just learning the game. But if we ever roll it, I'm just like, can we roll again? Because
I think the only time I wouldn't mind playing it is if I'm looking forward to like the new board that you're making, where it's going to have a lot of levels and bits and pieces. I think that one would be interesting. But you know, on the grassy board that we have, it's just an open, in the nicest way, it's an open field. It's a bit meh. You know, it's nothing. You know, there's no tactic to it. There's always tactic, but do you get me? I don't feel it's very hard to employ a tactic in it, isn't it? You know.
I think you're exactly right with what you said. Is that if you've got like an open space, you've got no changes in elevation to fight from, then it's very hard to make this anything else apart from, well, we're going to be moving our battle lines towards each other, or look, obviously there's always going to be tactics involved. There's going to be times when you kind of mess things up and whatever, but it isn't my favourite, and I think that it comes down to, I mean, what I like about battle companies is the idea that you can really make it your own in terms of the characters. So, about them maybe having a vendetta against one of the other people. Like, so if you can kind of weave your story into why they happen to be meeting up or whatever, or just kind of have this kind of. But ultimately, I like there being an objective other than let's just kill each other.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's like,
and it's.
I mean, because essentially, like, Kill the Messenger, which we'll talk about in another one, has exactly the same ending conditions, but because there is a objective alongside it, it completely changes it. Same the next one we'll probably talk about is Show of Strength, which is about the leaders. Whoever's leader gets the most kills, which then has to be tactically very different. But this is just like, put it down and let's roll some. Look, it's the absolute perfect scenario if you've got 45 minutes, you've got a small company, you're just like, you know what, you've got your models, I've got my models, cool, let's put them down. That's like, because it's so like, there's no setup required in terms of, how many markers do we need?
Yeah. Oh no, you just it's straight in, get gaming, and on that end it's great, but on the other end it is one of the weaker ones.
I'm gonna say it. Do you have anything more to say about this particular scenario?
No. I'm literally scoring it, and that's it.
Oh well, it's exactly what I was thinking. What are you giving it?
4.
4.
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, there's so many more that I enjoy so much more. That but it gets 3 points for simplicity, and that's it.
That's it. I think it's. I still enjoy playing it. That's why it gets a 4. But it's still, it doesn't break 50. So yeah, that's that.
That's that. Right, so moving on, let's talk about our first company, the good company of this week, which is the Osgiliath company. I'll let you decide, Sean Bean or not.
Yeah, Sean Bean. Obviously, I then you have to Gollum the bad company.
Oh, what have I started? You bastard. The city of Osgiliath has had a varied and turbulent past. Once it stood tall and proud as the capital of the realm of Gondor, a beacon of hope and valour against a growing threat of Mordor. Over time, it became ravaged by war, eventually falling into ruin. Since those days, it's been the site for many a battle between Gondor and its foes, and in the later years of the Third Age, it's been garrisoned by the forces of Gondor as a stronghold. Often, small groups made up of those stationed within Osgiliath's ruined walls are sent out from the city and into the wilderness. These bands would journey east to the edge of the realm of Gondor in search of invaders. It is not unheard of for these companies to venture even further out to give aid to settlements and allies that are under threat from the forces of evil.
Oh.
That was, for about halfway through that, I was just like, I actually really need to stop, but I'm not, so...
I'm just looking forward to Gollum on the bad one.
I haven't done a Gollum impression in a long time, so I'm not sure what there is to look forward to. Anyway, I'm going to take a break from talking. Stephen, tell us about the starting battle company.
I will indeed. So, the starting battle company for the Osgiliath, that's right, isn't it? Yes.
Is this going to be like last week where you couldn't say Numenorian?
Numenorians. I led that very well. I was actually very proud. I went home into the house afterwards. I was like, Numenorian.
And your wife was just like, are you okay?
Yeah, she I thought I was having a stroke or something. So the starting battle company for the Osgiliath is an Osgiliath veteran with shield. They must be your leader. Then you have the warrior of Minas Tirith with shield. A warrior of Minas Tirith with spear and shield, 1 ranger of Gondor, and 2 rangers of Gondor with spears. So that's the starting company. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 6 miniatures starting up. So it's a nice, simple starting up battle company. It's a mix of the Minas Tirith and the Rangers of Gondor. The Rangers are quite nice, but I think this is the one of Rangers don't have their own battle companies in the community editions anymore, do they?
No, I think this is the most Ranger-heavy company that you're going to find in the community rules, because the Rangers, as we've said before, the Ranger company in the original rules were completely broken. Now, I think this is one of the more thematic companies that kind of links up. There's a few of them, but this links up with the films really nicely. So the way I picture it is that the veteran with shield, that's Faramir. That is representative of Faramir. So the scene where Denethor sends Faramir back to kind of reclaim Osgiliath, that kind of company that ride out, that is what I picture this company as.
Dead.
Pretty much just dead, just disappointing their fathers, just left, right, and centre. Yeah. So yeah, that's the way I see it. I mean, what's your?
Yeah, no, I think it is. It's yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head on that one. Like, you know, it's quite thematic because it is at that point in the movie as well, and it's the mix of people, and yeah.
So the reinforcement table. So reinforcements will cost you 3 influence points, as it does with most of them. So a roll of a 1 will get you nothing. 2, Minas Tirith warrior with shield. 3, Minas Tirith warrior with spear and shield. 4, a ranger of Gondor. A 5, a choice of any of the above. And a 6 will give you a roll on the special chart. The special chart has... a 1 to 3 on the special chart gives you an Osgiliath veteran with choice of war gear, and a 4 to 6 will give you a Knight of Minas Tirith with shield.
So that's they're limited on the special charts. They are, so they are fairly limited on pretty much everything. Just literally a veteran or a knight, and a couple more of the same people in there. So it's limiting what they can grow into, but still, I think when we get into it, they're pretty okay characters to have.
Yeah, I mean they're not bad. I mean, we'll go into the stat lines in a bit. So we've got the. Do you want to say about the advancements, and I'll talk about the special? Because there's just one advancement there.
Yeah. It's just literally one advancement. So it's a warrior of Minas Tirith becomes an Osgiliath veteran with equivalent war gear. So that is the only advancement.
So the stats will just get bumped up a little bit. Okay, so we have. So I'll do the community hero upgrade, and you can do the company special rules. How does that sound?
Mm-hmm. That sounds fantastic.
I mean, it's not like it. Jesus, I mean, calm down, mate. Company hero upgrade. Bird calls. The Rangers of Ithilien have mastered ways of communicating that appear to be natural, and use this to plan with one another while lying in ambush, which is quite themey with how the Rangers are pictured in the books, at least. This needs to be listened to carefully to understand it. I think reading it's fine, but if you're listening to it, then it might be a bit confusing. Any model within 6 inches of this hero gains the Stalk Unseen special rule. Additionally, enemy models targeted by a shooting attack from any friendly model within 6 inches of this hero do not benefit from the Stalk Unseen special rule for the duration of that shooting attack. So...
Okay, so you get it unless
you shoot. Stalk Unseen, just so we clear up what Stalk Unseen is first of all. Stalk Unseen is if you are covered, if there's an in the way roll at all, so if you're covered by any scenery, then you cannot be shot or targeted with magical powers from a distance of more than 6 inches. So if you if your model stood there and there's a wall covering half of him and someone's 7 inches away, they can't shoot you. Okay, so this special rule means that anyone within 6 inches of whoever's got that rule basically gets to the Stalk Unseen rule.
That's it. Yeah.
Are we clear on that?
So yeah, it is, and it's the enemies can't charge, shoot, or target them with magical powers or special rules that Rangers creates. And the only other problem is if you're on a mount, you don't get it. So if you're on a horse, you don't get the Stalk Unseen.
It's for infantry models only. a cavalry model can have it, and when they dismount, the rider will then get that special rule. But whilst he's riding his horsey horse, you can't have it.
Why is he riding a
So,
horsey horse?
additionally, enemy models targeted by a shooting attack from any friendly model within 6 inches of this hero do not benefit from the Stalk Unseen special rule for the duration of the shooting attack. So, basically, from what my reading of that means, it negates an enemy Stalk Unseen rule. Yeah, so that'd be pretty handy against the Morgul Stalkers that we were talking about last week. So
Yeah. So it's kind of handy. Or anyone who's taken Path of the Stalker, Skirmisher and stuff like that. So it gets all that.
So the company's special rules, there's 3 of them.
Yep. So unlike battle companies, an Osgiliath battle company may have up to 50% of its models armed with a bow rather than 33%. So you can have quite a few bows in there. Is their bow different? Is their bow stronger?
No, it's just that Rangers are good at shooting. Rangers are 3+ for shooting.
Oh, 3+, so yeah. So more chance of hitting. Heroes gained the Woodland Creature special rule. What's that?
It means that they're not slowed by any...
Yeah, they're not slowed by any different. An infantry model with this special rule may move through woods, forests that are classified as difficult terrain as if they are open ground. Note that this doesn't mean they can automatically climb terrain in those areas, nor move through tree trunks or jump fallen obstacles.
So it doesn't affect your climb or leap tests, but basically, if you're running through the forest, you can go at full speed.
That's nice. And then the Osgiliath veterans in this battle company treat the leader as Faramir for the purpose of their loyal to captain's special rule. So what's that one? Loyal to captain.
So it's if a model, we'll go into it when we do the Osgiliath veteran stat line in just a second. But it's a plus.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's +1 to fight value if you're within 6 inches of the leader. So. Yeah, and it basically there says that your leader is Faramir. It doesn't. You don't have to have a Faramir model. It doesn't get the Faramir stat line, but you can. What I quite like to do is sometimes I like to have ridiculous, crazy names, as you're well aware, and sometimes I've got I'm doing an Isengard company at the moment. I've got the Lurtz model, and it's called Lurtz. I've got the Ugluk one, it's called Ugluk. I've got the Shagrat one, it's called Shagrat. But then sometimes it's just that random Ranger model that I've 3D printed, that's Faramir. And I'm calling him Faramir. But yeah.
Because he's Faramir. But also on the flip, to be fair, I probably would get a Faramir model because you don't get to do the characters much in this, do you? So in battle companies, that's the one thing about battle companies.
The way that I often picture battle companies is the idea of it almost being like their training montage, shall we say.
So it's like their bit where they're learning to be.
Bonnie Tyler's there busting out, holding out for a hero, and they're real heavy snare,
and you got you just got Faramir just keeps looking back at his dad like, will you like me? Will he? I'm doing it, Papa.
Saw the funniest meme about. There's loads of memes on Instagram about Faramir. One of them said, "Dad, it's my birthday. I'm 36 today." And Denethor says, "At your age, Boromir was 38." So anyway, let's talk about the stat lines.
So, who's doing that? Me or you? I'll start with the Osgiliath veteran. So, the first one, the leader, is the Osgiliath veteran. He has heavy armor and a sword. And for an extra point each, you can either get a shield, a bow, or a spear. He has the special rule of loyal to the captains. So that is a +1 to the fight value if within 6 inch of your leader model. So that's so that to me kind of sets a bit of the tone for this kind of company, how I would play with it, you know. So getting back into it, so their stats themselves, the movement is 6, their fight is 3, and shooting 4+. Strength 3, defense 5, and then if you have a shield is 6, attack 1, wounds 1, and courage 4. So it's all good. So it's a, you know, fairly basic, fairly standard. Again, whatever path you put them on, and just something, if you bought him a shield, you're already increasing his defense. That makes him quite good. His fight value, you'd want to get an increase on the rolls, you would, but a pretty solid start.
Yeah, so
I think,
he's essentially it's a warrior of Minas Tirith with courage 4. That's your leader to start with, but obviously when there are other Osgiliath veterans which you can get either through advancements or you can get through rolling on the reinforcement table. But yeah, they're not amazing, but the +1 to fight value, I mean, it essentially means that your Osgiliath veterans are going to just stick by each other. Stick by your leader. I mean, that's the only possible way to play them if you're being sensible, because.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It sets your tone there, doesn't it?
Yeah. So next up we have the Warriors of Minas Tirith, which is more or less the same. So heavy armor and sword. For an extra point, you get a shield, a bow, or a spear. They have the shield wall special rule, which means they get +1 defense if they're in base contact with 2 other models with the shield wall rule. And went over this last week. But movement 6, fight 3 on a 4+ to shoot, strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, and a courage of 3. They're fine. They're just not exciting. But we bitched and bitched about them last week just because they're like, I mean, they're not a bad profile. They're just not very interesting. It's basically what we got. So I think that the real reason you're gonna play these is if you're loving the Rangers. I mean, the Rangers are super cool in the films. I think they're even cooler in the books. But yeah, tell us about Rangers of Gondor.
So basically the next one there is Rangers of Gondor. So they come armor, sword and bow, and for an extra point you can give them a spear. Movement 6, fight value 4, shooting 3+, so straight up better. Strength 3, defense 4, so the defense is weaker, attacks 1, wounds 1, and courage 3. So that's them, and you get 3 of them, so it's a better fight value, but the defense is weaker. It is, so it's
I think it's a
trade-off.
trade-off, but I think that having a fight value of 4 is quite a big difference. You're going to come up with the majority of things that you come up against starting battle companies is stuff that's fight 3. So if you've got fight 4, you got a better chance of winning. It's that simple. But shooting a 3+, and let's remember that you can have the only shooting you can have in this is Rangers, and Rangers hit on a 3+, and you can have 50% of your models be Rangers. So 15 in the company, so it's, I think they normally say it's 50% rounded down, so I think you can have, so you'd have 7 guys.
That's pretty
hitting on 3+.
Hitting on, so that's what, 2/3. So yeah, there's not bad chances there. And the thing is like, if you got that amount of arrows getting fired across the board, and the fact that you got quite a strong defensive, so you do have a strong defensive with your Osgiliath and the Warriors of Minas Tirith. You kind of send them out, they can hold objectives, and the Rangers, to me, the Rangers are firing down the arrows above, and they give it a bit of cover and being useful or sneaking around the board. But sorry, I digress. We'll get into
getting into
that in a
the
second.
playing of shortly. So, and they've got Knights of Minas Tirith, which is essentially a Knight of Minas Tirith, sorry, a Warrior of Minas Tirith on a horsey horse. So heavy armor, horse, lance. I've got horse twice on my list here. So does he have two horses? Who knows? They get two horses.
They get two horses. It's like a horse stack.
It's a hell of a mess. A shield for an extra 1 point, and they've got the shield wall rule, just like Warriors of Minas Tirith, but they can't use that on horseback. So their movement 6, fight 3, shoot 4+, strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage of 3. Just to be clear, we didn't speak last week, I don't think, about the fact that if you've got a horse, then you're moving to obviously 10 inches, not 6 inches. So that stat line is for the rider. If you're on a horse, you've got 10-inch movement. So just to kind of clear that up. So what do you think?
So what do I think? So they're not as bland as Minas Tirith. I think you got more, although there's less advancements, I do think you got a bit more choice in like your play style and your how you're going to use them. Like, you know, obviously, what you do. I mean, look, they are a little bit more interesting than Minas Tirith. They got a little bit of flavour to it. The Rangers are nice to be in it. Bear in mind, the Rangers aren't in the community rules battle companies because they're too OP in the game on their own, like, you know. So this is if you want Rangers, and you know you can roll that dice. You've got you know, where you got on two dice rolls, so like a 4 or 5, you could get a Ranger of Gondor. But yeah, they're not horrendous. I think, like you said, they're the most thematic, and yeah, that's the one company you can get your Rangers in. But also with the Minas Tirith, with the shields being able to have a high defense and the shield wall, I think in this company, this is the one that I would actually use that, because I've got 2 or 3 different ways of playing that company, you know, and also being able to run out with Faramir or the Osgiliath veteran, you know, with a +1 to the fight value and shield wall. Imagine you going out there holding an objective, then all your guys are suddenly, you know, their fight 4s with, and if they've all got shields, their defense 7. That's pretty damn good, like, you know. So that makes it a bit more tasty to me, like, you know. And then the Rangers would go and try and get out of targets, and then if you got a couple of knights out there, you'd be doing pretty well with it. So I think a more interesting Minas Tirith, get your Rangers in. That's my
I mean, I've played against an Osgiliath company a lot, you know, in my early days playing, and they're decent. They really are. I think that there's some interesting ways in which you can set up the heroes, and certainly, you know, Dave, whose company I played against many a time, certainly did that with how he was playing it. It's disappointing that there's nothing above strength 3, as we just discussed the problems of having only strength 3 stuff. The only kind of difference to that is if you've with your Knights of Minas Tirith, if they're on the charge, then the Lance gets a +1 to wound, so you know, that's a chance to be wounding on a slightly lower number. But I think it's important to remember that with the Rangers of Gondor, whilst they are only defense 4, they can all get spears, which means that they can spear support. So, you know, they can.
Yes,
you can have your front line being Osgiliath veterans with shield. You can have your Minas Tirith warriors. You can have a back line of Rangers supporting with spears, or just standing back and shooting over shoulders, depending on board positions. So they do offer a bit of variety, and then having, you know, you've got a lot of fight 4 in there. So you've got fight 4 from Osgiliath veterans, you've got fight 4 from the Rangers, and then you've got potentially you know, going up to fight 5 and 6 for, you know, once, like quite good, yeah.
Your heroes,
so,
and your
Yeah. I like them more than Minas Tirith. And I think yeah, the Rangers are just cool. And you can get the official models are really cool, and there's some really nice free prints out there as well. So they're just kind of nice to have them on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time this Osgiliath playing against them was my first experience of playing against a company that had cavalry, and it was terrifying because I was playing with Durin's folk dwarves with 5-inch movement, and they're there like Dave's tearing around the board like with 4 horses. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to play against this because this is an entirely new thing to me, and I just got completely just.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm gonna go this way. Oh no, I'm not. I'm gonna. Yeah, it was not. It was not good.
I'm not being funny. If Dave's picked them, Dave picks some good companies. He does, like, so they seem to be a good company. They do.
So, what would you? What's your? Obviously, we spoke about hero path and how it's normally set up and who you'd have as your leader. Your leader's been chosen for you. It has to be the Osgiliath veteran with shield. What you're thinking pathwise?
So straight up general, because all of the bunts that you get with general, with all the, I'm getting up to it, trying to get to the page with general. Yeah, but everything that general gives, I think, because he's always going to be near people. That's it. Like, he's always going to be next to guys or such like that. And then if you got like inspiring presence, like, if we count it as like a banner, rally to me, lead by example, all of these extra things, like, just, adds and adds and adds, like, he can only get stronger and stronger and stronger with the rolls on the upgrades, like, so straight off the bat, that's the only place I would put him, because I would be using him to always be close to other people. So the way he'd always have a couple of people around him, so he would be a bit of a formidable force getting around that board. He'd be a bit of a pain in the backside, is what I'd like.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid choice, because if you know that you're going to play him with people all around him, because eventually you're going to get Osgiliath veterans. You'd like to think, either for advancements or for rolling for them. And once you've got them, they're just going to be next to your leader. So if you know that your leader's not some, mercenary that's going to go off and get shit done by himself, then he's going to have these people around him. So that part of the general makes a lot of sense. You're probably going to put him on a horse eventually. So that might mean you go for path of the night, maybe.
See, yeah. I'd keep him general, but I see what you're saying.
Other than that, I'm not really sure what you'd go for. It just seems like the right choice.
The only other thing is, for him, and then my only adder to my sergeants would be 2 rangers, path of the ranger, path of the sharpshooter, or path of the skirmisher. It'll be a mix of those 3 in there. The sharpshooter, basically just to improve that bow. Get that bow as good as possible. Like, if I could, it would be my plan on him. And, rangers, both of them, ranger and sharpshooter, both increase my shooting, they do. And also, having the hero with +1 to wound mounts, trolls, beasts, spiders, those kind of things, they kind of help, because I don't know how I would play this company against spiders, or things like that, because they haven't, apart from going out with the leader and a couple of warriors of Minas Tirith going out there shielding and everything, it's going to be a hard battle, and plus also against terror and stuff. So from the distance, the only way is I'm going to get those spiders in it, So that's my thinking of it, But Because I mean, the thing is, like the other guys, the Royals Military, if they got a shield, and then their shield wall, like suddenly their defense 7. To me, like there's not much, maybe advancements as to go along to get the strength and the fight value up, but I wouldn't be wasting my time on that.
Okay, so I definitely be my first sergeant would be the ranger with a bow, and definitely on par with the sharpshooter. I think that, yeah, it's just makes sense. I mean, you'd think they'd be on par with the ranger, but I always think that sharpshooter is the best one if you've already got shoot 3. Whereas ranger is better if if you're on the shoot 4. So, and the other one, I mean, it just doesn't feel right in my actual bones to ever make a warrior of Minas Tirith anything. So
no.
I'm going to throw a curveball in here. I'd be a ranger of Gondor with spear as the other one, and he'd be a sorcerer.
Yeah.
He'd be basically Gandalf.
Let me go back to sorcerer then. What's sorcerer?
Either that or just to make it, just to add something a little bit different, to add some chocolate sauce.
You know what? Again, but then I think no, you're right. That's not a bad idea. He adds a bit more into it. Then
or potentially, I think either sorcerer or potentially watchman. I think there's some good stuff on the watchman path, which could be very, very, very helpful. So, but there's probably not bad choices on. Always apart from probably minstrel, there isn't really a. Having said that, I'm going to try it again. I will try it again, but yeah.
I need to try minstrel. I want to try minstrel. I do just to see if it's going to be any good.
Right. So, anything else to say about them? Anything we haven't covered about Osgiliath?
No, I think to be honest, it's just it's a little bit Neapolitan on the ice cream front. With it's not quite cookie dough. It's it's your Poundland favourite.
I've got no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Neapolitan ice cream. Where it's got the chocolate, the vanilla, and the strawberry. The 3 in the tub.
What's a Poundland thing?
I was just like, you haven't got much money. It's a cheap ice cream. It's cheap and cheerful. I mean, you can get the models easy. That one's 2 box sets, isn't it? That's the Minas Tirith and the Ranger with a little bit of fun. You can make your leader. You can make Faramir. Even just a head swap makes Faramir. So you just chop a head off and put some long hair on it, or a bit of green stuff, So it's your a little she'll. Just a little bit fancy Poundland.
Hey, give me a rating out of 10.
So we were quite. What did I say? What did we say Minas Tirith was?
You said like down. 7 to begin with because you're just like. You did.
Oh yeah, but then I dropped it down. I think I went to 5 or something. I'm still sitting. This one, it's like a 5.5. Whatever Minas Tirith is 0.5.
So I'm pretty certain I gave Minas Tirith 4 and you gave it more than me. So,
yeah, I think I think I was 1 above you or something. But whatever it is 0.5 above. We'll check the notes later. So I need to write this down so I'll remember what I've given.
I'm going to give them a. So I said 4 for Minas Tirith. I'm going to go 5.5. And that's mainly because Rangers, I've seen. I mean, Dave paints models beautifully. He really does, and his companies, they always just look so consistent together. And I think he really lucked out on the reinforcement rolls. But his 15 models He got his 5 cavalry, because in battle companies you tend to stick to a 1/3 cavalry limit, because otherwise it's just not fun. There are some companies that have exceptions to that rule, which we'll talk about another time. He got his 5. He got his. I think he got 7 rangers, and then the rest were just, whatever they were, like veterans and Minas Tirith stuff. So, but it's having that group of rangers going around, just firing shots out of people, just really cool. So, yeah, 5.5. 5.5. I'm sticking with 5.5.
I think the only letdown with them is they don't have much more advancements. Yes, it's handy having the horses, but they haven't got. It'd be interesting if they had something else in there on the advancements. That's to me. It's sorry, not the advancements, reinforcements, and the advancements is only 1, which it's not a bad one.
It'd be nice it'd be good if there was some way of getting some strength 4 in there without a hero upgrade, but they are a better version of Minas Tirith, and pretty accessible. Yes. So yeah, good fun.
Yeah.
Right. Is it? So that was our good company. Moving on to our evil company, which is Cirith Ungol. We'd have to.
I want to see you try it.
Can I grab a glass of water first? I'm going to grab a glass of water, and then I will Gollum it. So, talk amongst yourselves.
Hello, those who are listening. It's the Good Enough Scenery Battle Companies podcast. And Chris is going to come back in a minute, and try and smeagol his way through the introduction of the Cirith Ungol, who are a bunch of orcs from Middle Earth. Yeah, and that's that.
Oh, it's bloody long as well. So, I'm gonna. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Precious.
I haven't got a line to.
What's it?
Okay.
You need to start adding S's and stuff.
Sake.
To the west of Mordor is Cirith Ungol. Precious the answers the path that runs through the mountains between Mordor and the Gondor. This tall and imposing structure is garrisoned by a rabble of orcs and it has 2 factions that constantly become precious with each other. Truly commands the forces within the tower.
It's gone. They are the first line of defense against whatever should come through the pass, whether that be elves, men, or something
worse than star precious.
Under the orders of the commanders of the tower, bands of orcs and urukai are sent into the pass to patrol its borders in search of anyone brave or foolish enough to attempt to cross it, knowing full well that they risk being entwined in the clutches of Shelob, who lurks within its dank tunnels. It has been known for these bands to be set upon by lesser spiders, and sometimes they manage to fend off and control them for long enough that they can utilize them against their enemies in their times of need.
That was good. I'll give it to you. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Pretty sure I just gave myself tonsillitis, but
so they are. Yeah, for the podcast.
So, just before we dive into the starting battle companies, just talking about Cirith Ungol and the films themselves. So, Cirith Ungol is like the steps of Cirith Ungol is what Sam and Frodo and Gollum have to climb up in order to kind of sneak into sneak into Mordor, and that's where Shelob is. The Gollum plays. So that's where Shelob is, and the Tower of Cirith Ungol is where Sam and Frodo get their where Frodo gets captured, and then Sam saves him from, and they get their armor from. So that is Cirith Ungol, if you're unsure. So yeah, it's a
busy place up there.
A few spiders. So tell us about the starting battle company, Stephen.
So the starting battle company is 2 Mordor Orc with shield, 2 Mordor Orc with spear, 1 Mordor Orc with Orc bow, 2 Mordor Uruk-hai, and 1 Mordor Uruk-hai with 2-handed club.
Isn't that lovely? So that's 8 to start with. So that's
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8.
So the reinforcements is going to cost you 3 influence points. 1 gets you nothing. 2 gives you a Mordor Orc with choice of war gear. Sorry, did I say 2 to 3? But 2 to 3 gives you that. 4 to 5 gives you a Mordor Uruk-hai with a choice of war gear, and 6 gives you a giant spider, of which you can have 3 in total. There is no special chart, which I think makes this company quite interesting. And there's just the one advancement, Stephen.
Which is if you have a Mordor Orc with Orc bow, they can become an
Which
Orc
I believe
tracker. From
last week's episode you were thoroughly unimpressed with as a stat line. Yeah, just rubbish.
Yeah, they're absolutely rubbish. But if you get them on wargs,
okay. So the company hero upgrade. Now this really influences how you play them. So we're in charge. Orcs and Uruk-hai only, so you can't have this for the spiders. Constantly trying to prove they are better than the other race, the Orcs and Uruk-hai of Cirith Ungol will try everything to outdo each other. If the hero is an Orc, they gain a bonus of +1 to wound whilst within 2 inches of a friendly Uruk-hai model. If the hero is an Uruk-hai, they gain a +1 to wound whilst within 2 inches of a friendly Orc.
Yeah, it's a handy thing to have, but it's only one character,
Well,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's heroes. All the heroes.
So-
The heroes, yeah. So that's free.
Yeah,
free.
so if you've got... we'll talk about how we're going to play it a little bit later on. And then the company hero upgrade for the spiders, because spiders can be heroes, is... I've just lost it. Bloated creature, spiders, a spider only. Countless years spent feasting on the blood of its catch has made the frame of this creature swell beyond its natural size, causing all but the most precise blows to fall short of their mark. Whenever this hero suffers a wound, roll a d6. On a 5+, the wound is ignored exactly as if 1 point of fate had been spent.
That's a nice one. That's a nice
Very
level to
nice.
have, isn't it? Like, it just saves. But then you could do that, and then if you still failed, you still use a fate, which is a 4+.
Yeah,
So,
it's a very good thing. So, I've played against Cirith Ungol. I haven't played as Cirith Ungol. But what's your thoughts on it?
off the bat, I like Uruk-hai because I'm playing Uruk-hai at the moment. They're fight 4, so they're quite strong to start with. Their defense is 4.
Yeah,
So we'll go through the people, but I think
Should we
off
go through the
bat,
stat lines?
they're not- Yeah, we'll go through it. Yeah, we'll go through stat lines. So Orc Warrior, armor, sword, or pick, and for an extra point, you can get a shield, an Orc bow, a spear, or a two-handed weapon. And I like my two-handed weapons. So their movement is 6, fight is 3 and 5+, strength is 3, defense is 4, attacks are 1, wounds are 1, and courage is 2. They're pretty weak. They're okay.
Yeah.
Meh. you know, yeah, I wouldn't stick a. It's
You're not excited.
The one that gets the bow there is just like, you know, he just picked up a couple of sticks. It'd be easier throwing it than trying to bow it, like, you know, like, you know. So, yeah. So, meh. And you get 4 of them.
Well, yeah.
So
You've got orc trackers who've got a dagger and an orc bow. So they can have a warg for 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
And the stat line is movement 6, fight 3, 4+, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage of 2. So Stephen's just shaking his head. And you get 4+ shooting, which is better than 5+ shooting.
It's the only thing is, like, if you manage to get the advancement of a Mordor orc with orc bow and you get to an orc tracker, yeah, it makes it a bit better. And sticking them on a warg just so you can get the charge bonus, but the charge bonus just makes them a normal warrior. I mean, you know, it's one of them, isn't it? Like, you know, they are, to me.
Well, if you get them on a warg, then they're going to be strength 4. If they're charging,
yeah.
If they're charging, they've got 2 attacks. They knock someone down, and you got 4. You got 4 strength 4 attacks to wound. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting to that point. Then you got the Mordor Uruk-hai, armor and sword, and 4 points. You can either get an orc bow, a shield, 2-handed mace. Then movement 6, fight 4, shooting is 4+, strength 4, defense 4, attacks 1, wounds 1, courage 3. So just straight away, I'd be getting them with shields as soon as I can. And yeah, they are one of the interesting, well, one of the strong points of this company.
And probably the strongest, if you can get them, is giant spiders. So they are equipped with poisoned fangs. They have the terror special rule, unsurprisingly, as they're massive spiders. They have poison fangs as a special rule, which means that they reroll 1s to wound. And they have swift movement, which means they are not slowed down by any terrain, and they can just climb straight up anything as well. So, you know, if you've got a 6-inch high cliff or building, there's just like, yeah, they're going on top. You know, you take 6. You know, yeah, they've got 10-inch movement. Fight 4, shoot 6+, but you're not going to be using that anyway. They are strength 5, which is hardy. Defense is only 3. I mean, that's the only downside to them. They've got 2 attacks. They have got 2 wounds, and their courage is 3. So that's all of the stat lines covered. So yeah, what's your thinking on all of?
I'm not a big fan of Mordor orcs. I think they're fine. Like, you know, they're okay. Like, you know, they do all right. I'd stick them, as many of them with shields as possible, get their defense up. I don't think I would be putting any of them on my hero paths. I might put one with a bow on one of the sharpshooter paths, but I'd be going Uruk-hais, using them because they're stronger characters off the bat. Like, you know, a general and a warrior is where I'd possibly be going with those.
But you're missing the point of the company special rule there.
It is that we're in charge, and obviously you get a +1 to wound. I mean, I just stick the orcs next to the Uruks going in. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I have very little experience playing against orcs, so I've yet to see them do. You know, I've yet to experience them per se. So yeah. So, but apart from that, the giant spider I think is formidable and awesome, and you know, if I could increase that battle company to grow with Uruk-hai and giant spiders, they would be quite tasty then. Like, you know, those spiders, even just like, although the defense 3, terror is like a it's like already a saving role for them, isn't it? Like, you know, so it's like, you know, before even a combat goes in, like people will go in, they can be charged with 3 miniatures and only one of them passes, like, you know, and only scores 1 wound, and then, you know, in you go, boof, boof, boof. So, yeah, so that's my few. They're okay. And I think I keep saying every company's okay. I'm just not a fan of orcs, but I just think they're going to be a slogging match to increase, like, you know. But again, like the other battle company that we just done, where you got the Uruks and the giant spiders, it adds a bit of flavour, adds a bit of spice.
So I think you're underrating this company a bit. I think that they. The big thing here is that there is no special chart. So, and that can be seen as a downside, because you think that, oh, that's where you get all your kind of big old tasty stuff. It's like, well, look, if you've got 6 influence points, which is you can get from winning a game and then losing a game, you've got 6 influence points. That would mean that if you rolled a 3 on, you only have to roll a 3 on your reinforcement roll, and you could then use another 3 influence points to boost it up if you needed. But you could just, all of a sudden you've got a giant spider. That is such a, you know, if you look down at the Dol Guldur company to get a giant spider on that, you've got to roll a 6 and then a 4. You know, it has to be a 6. Well, have to be a 6 or made up to a 6, and then it would have to be a 4, or it's going to be something less than. So there, I think that I would absolutely be getting the Mordor orcs on wargs, because you can, the hero on wargs, because you can do that, because wargs are available to orc trackers, so they are available to your heroes. I mean, I'm not sure. I can't remember the rules about whether you'd be able to put an Uruk-hai on a warg or not.
I don't think Uruks can. I'd have to check that. I would. I haven't got anything that I could see that on.
I'm gonna check. Maybe someone. Oh, that's going to take forever to check. But another thing which is interesting, in terms of the play style, is the fact that you've got the mace. Now we haven't been using enough special strikes, and that's going to change. Now, if you've got a mace, then you can use the bash special strike. Have you read this?
Bash.
I've got.
No,
I've got it in front of me here.
My book out.
Many fighters choose to fight wielding fearsome hammers or maces. These brutish weapons deliver powerful, concussive damage, capable of crumpling helmets, breaking bones, or even throwing an enemy from their feet. So, a model armed with a mace, maul, or hammer may opt to bash. If the bashing model's side wins the duel roll, they may attempt to knock a single opponent of their choice prone instead of making strikes. Both models roll a further d6 and add their strength value. The basher adds a further 1 to this if the hammer, mace, or maul is two-handed. If the bashing model's total is equal to or higher than the opponent's model, that opponent is immediately knocked prone. In a multiple combat, it is often a good idea to do the bash first, as if successful, other friendly models within the multiple combat may benefit from the enemy being knocked prone if the bash is successful. So
that's interesting. Again, it's a now things get a bit tasty, don't they? Like, you know, I mean, so but going back to it, it was Uruk-hai, wasn't it, who had the mace, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
yeah, two-handed club. So
if you've got him there, and he's supported by a Mordor orc with a spear, and you've also got another Mordor orc who's your hero, who's got the company special rule. The bash guy can just absolutely crumple the guy's head in, and he just. And I mean, and he's just there, and he's knocked to the ground. And all of a sudden, the spear supporting Mordor Orc and your hero Mordor Orc are going to have double wounding rolls, and that the Mordor Orc, who's your hero, is going to have +1 to wound on those doubles
because of the Uruk-hai.
Because he's been next to the Uruk-hai. So I think that there's some really tasty stuff to be had here.
The thing is like you're clearing house with that, aren't you? Like you could have a little kill squad going around, just taking on and singling out and doing some damage. Like, I mean, imagine that someone goes in to attack your giant spider, gets terror, and then suddenly this kill squad just comes in. You know, you lost the initiative. You don't even have to get the spider run. The spider can run off down and get someone else. Like, you know, and then that would be quite tasty. That would.
I mean, there's a bit of conflict into what this weapon actually is, because in the community rules it says two-handed club. That's what it says.
Yeah.
If you look in the army list book, it will say it's a two-handed mace, which is available to Mordor Uruk-hai. Now, if it's a club, not a mace, then it's a different story, because you can't do bash with a club, but you can do stun. So, stun. A model with a club or staff may opt to stun their opponent. If their model side wins the fight, rather than striking normally, choose one opponent and roll a d6. On a 5+ or a 6, if the target is a monster, ready for this? The victim is reduced to a fight value and attacks value of 1.
Wow.
And a shoot value of 6 until the end of the following turn. You may have missed.
Oh wow!
So basically, you just get knocked around the head. You're just like, Jesus, what the hell is going on? But it depends. I mean, that's the ultimate anti-hero thing, because if it's, if you need a 5+ for it to happen.
Yeah.
If you've got someone who's going to get wounded on a 5 anyway, and they're not a hero, then you're just going to wound them, surely, because you're rarely wounding on less than a 5, sometimes a 4, but in general, you're going to be wounding on a 5 or a 6. So it's ambiguous as to whether it's a club or a mace. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer the stun attack than the knocked prone one.
The stun's pretty deadly. I mean, especially for an entire turn, it just puts that hero out. Yeah, I mean, they've got to win that dual roll, and the shoot value's gone,
So I could have used this stun attack with all of my Farharad against, because they all have clubs. So you're
far.
I mean, they were deadly enough as it was. I mean, but
I tell you what, Farharad give me nightmares still. Those damn camels. Those camels were just fierce.
When we discuss them in a few weeks' time, whenever it is, you're just going to be shaking in the corner and you'll just be saying, "Yeah, I don't like Chris."
No, just those Farharad are absolutely. Yeah. If you want to upset someone, choose Farharad.
They're good. So, right, hero paths.
See, this is difficult. This one, actually,
we're going to have to have a special section where we talk about the advantages and disadvantages of choosing beast or stalker should you get a spider hero, because
because the spider ones are here. I'm just trying to get to the page now quickly. Ah, caught me on the hop. There we go. Because obviously you can't get one part beast or stalker yet. I don't know.
Cool. Great chat.
Yeah, doing really good. People really want that. They want to come here, and it's without seeming samey. Like, look, I put my leader on, but then would I? Yes, I would. I would use general because again, general and warrior. Warrior, I would use for the two-handed weapon. I think I go with that. I would have one of my guys as general.
Sorry, I just had a thought. Carry on.
Oh, I had a thought. Okay, I was just like, I was looking at you, was like, is that bad, Chris? And then I was just like, what does it matter if it's bad? It's my idea. No, it's I choose probably general for, yeah, there'll be Urks. All the Urks will be getting this. Although you did say something interesting about saying getting the Orc Warrior and getting them on a hero path, and then potentially putting the Orc Warrior on Path of the Knights to get them on a warg, you know, would be something I may do. So general, so hit it down, put my cards on the table. I would go general. I would go warrior with the two-handed weapon, and I would, yeah, you know what, sack it. I would pick one of the orc warriors to get them onto a warg and go Path of the Night. I'd go that way.
Nice.
That's what I'd do.
Um,
Does it count Horse Lord and stuff with the wargs? Yeah,
Warlord.
a warg lord, but it does count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like you'd have to. So you'd have to buy them a warg as soon as you were able to. That's the only kind of rules with the Path of the Night. Yeah, so I'm not sure who would be my leader, but the one thing I definitely know is that the Mordor Uruk-hai with two-handed club would be on the Path of the Warrior, because I've realised that if they become burly and they go around with a Mordor Orc, they're going to be They're going to be strength 4 with +2 to wound.
Yeah.
So they're going to be wounding defense 6 on the Rees.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? They would be pretty damn vicious.
So yeah, so I would take them around with I'd take them around with a couple of Mordor orcs with spear. That'd be like little kill squad. Get him, get him burly, and just so your standard Mordor Uruk-hai do not have shields, so they are only going to be defense 4, and you have to spend influence points to get them a shield, which you might do at some point anyway. So I'd probably have one. I'd have one Mordor Uruk-hai on Path of the Duelist. I think that having someone fight 4 there with getting things like Blade Master and Parry is just going to be delicious. And I'm thinking that I'm not going to waste time with the Mordor Orc with bow. The Mordor Orc with spears, they're going to be going around with the other guy. So it's going to be a Mordor Orc with shield, and it's going to be on, I'm going to say, Path of the Skirmisher, I think, would be interesting.
A Mordor Orc with shield on a Path of Skirmisher, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Let me explain. Let me get I mean, I may change my mind in a second, but or maybe Defender. So
see, he's interested in, like, you know, throwing mastery, keen sight, heroic defense, natural defense, disengage.
I mean, they get the fearless special rule. If you got, that means they. If this is your, I might even make that the leader. Because if they get the fearless special rule, that means that they automatically pass all courage tests So if your force is broken and this guy's still alive, he automatically passes courage tests, and his stand fast will then affect all the everything around him.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing to have. You know, you got your fight value going up, your shoot value up, you've got throwing mastery. You know, that's pretty decent, and then the disengage and natural defense thing I think could be really handy. So yeah, I mean it's a bit out there, but I like it. So
Yeah. I'd be tempted with Skirmisher would be a Yokai just because of the higher fight value
yeah,
and strength and defense. But yeah, I get it. I think how would you play him? How would you be going out and playing them? Like, you know, I think. I mean, my one would be getting out there. I'd be wanting to get my spiders as soon as possible. You know, because they are from the off going to be getting over that board. They're going to be the.
I'm gonna have to. I realised that you can only be a skirmisher if you're an infantry hero, so I might have to go back on that because I would want to get my leader on a warg.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna change that. Sorry, just cut in there.
Newsflash.
I mean, in that case, I'd probably have my leader on a warg and have him on Path of the General.
Path of the General, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, carry on.
Fair
So
enough.
you were saying.
So I was saying before I was rudely interrupted. No, so what I was saying is how I would play him. So my thing would be obviously I've got what did I say? I had General, I had Warrior. The two-handed guy with a Warrior would be going around with my Orcs with spears.
That's what I said.
Yeah, no, I literally, you said it. I'm taking your idea. You know, your little kill team going around there, like, you know, the bows. It's just the thing is they're a bit. Yeah, basically every Uruk will be backed up with another Orc Warrior of sorts, just to get that +1 to wound.
It's only for the heroes who have got the special rule. Remember, not just everyone.
No, yeah, but bear in mind, all three of my ones will be on the paths. So all three of my Uruks, so they would literally all have their little puppy orc following them around, like, you know, their little apprentice orc, just showing off in front of them, just to get that +1 to wound, get those spiders as quick as I can. Those spiders are going to be going and getting my objectives, whilst my other guys are going around, you know, in their little kill squads, you know. So how many? What was it? How many was there in each? Just go back. You got 2. So 1, 2. You got 5 Mordor orcs. So yeah, I'd be going around like, you know, a Yokai, 2 orcs, Yokai, 2 orcs, Yokai, 1 orc, and then that's how I'd start. That I'd be splitting it into 3, getting around that board. I would. So yeah,
I mean,
that's kind of
that's how it's going down, is it?
That's how it's going down to start with, and if I can get an orc onto a couple of orcs onto the wargs, then obviously I'll have to see how I change the tactic. They might just be going out there just to go rip something apart, come back, go rip it apart, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. What about you?
Yeah, I think that I think to begin with, they aren't going to be anything special because apparently it's just some orcs and some uruks. So I'd probably be, you know, depending on the scenario, I'd be trying to running them all together to begin with, just trying to get my influence points up, and then, you know, saving those influence points to roll on the special shot to get the spiders as soon as possible. And then the spiders are quite difficult to play with because they're only defense 3. So if you come up against elves, like if you come up against an elf company, and there's an elf bowman who's on path with a sharpshooter, and he gets the hunter special rule, then he's wounding your spider on a 3 shooting.
Oh wow!
So strength 3 on defense 3 is a 4 to wound, and they get +1 to wound spiders. It's like, yeah. So they've got 2 2 wounds, but still, it's like a 2/3 chance of hitting with an elf, and then a 2/3 chance of wounding. It's like, ugh. So the spiders they're great, but they are not easy to play with because they're squishy.
Yeah.
But they are good at controlling where stuff happens because of this. Because they've got swift movement, they can go anywhere at any time, not slowed down by anything.
Yeah.
So just go, yeah, I'm going over here now. Yeah, I'm climbing up on top of this now. I'm going. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, in general, the wargs are going to be. I'll be getting the wargs involved. And I'd probably, we haven't spoken about this so far, but about the idea of buying creatures for.
Yeah.
So I would possibly be buying wargs as creatures for my heroes because just for the extra movement, and they can go around. They don't have to stay with the hero that you've been bought for, so they can. You know, the wargs could go around with the spiders, so that there's some more stuff going around because you want, you know, wargs or warg riders going around with the spiders to add some protection, and they can form their own little kill team. But the idea of having a Mordor orc with a 2-handed club that's burly and getting another +1 to wound, oh my god, just thinking about it, if he had his strength upgraded, which he probably would at some point, he'd be strength 5.
Yeah.
Strength 5 with +2 to wound.
Yeah.
So he'd be wounding. Defense 5 on 2s.
He would be vicious, and he's a good start, isn't he? Like, you know.
Actually, to be honest, like just hearing myself say that out loud, I'm thinking, you know what? That's leader territory right there. That's just absolutely brutal. Yeah, strength 5 +2 to wound. Yes, please.
All day long. No, he definitely makes it tasty as a starter, and then so would we in charge with that and a couple of spider. So I never looked at these bad companies before.
He's
but
such a good
this is
boy.
definitely such a good boy. I've always been a good boy.
Exactly.
But now I'm playing Yokai, and I'm seeing the wood through the trees now, like, you know. So they are. I especially love shooting into combat.
Yeah, I mean that's just great fun. Like even if you don't have to, just doing it anyway, it's great. Right, so spiders, Path of the Beast or Path of the Stalker. What you get your first spider, he becomes a hero in the making. What are you putting him on?
1 second. He is going on to Path of the Beast, Path of the Terror. They've already got Terror, so just off that, Stalker.
Well, you say
But
that,
then,
but if you roll something you've already got, then you get another roll.
onto the ground. Extra attack bonus and charge as if cavalry, blood or gory. Okay. Courage attacks, terror, fight, fell. Oh, okay, no, fell sight. That's a good one. I like that. Heroic strength and brutal power. You know what? Path of the Beast.
For the beast.
Path of the Beast. Barge and Rend. Yeah, he's that's where I'm going with him.
Yeah, if you've got Rend, let me just double check something. Yeah, if you've got Rend, then you'll be wounding on 3s against most things. Yeah, that's nasty. I mean, there isn't really a bad choice with it. I mean, I think that I'd be tempted. The thing is that you blood and glory means that you can regain might if you kill an enemy hero. I think it is, or cause a wound on an enemy hero. But you're not very likely to have might because it's going to have to be a hero in the making rather than one of the starting heroes, right? So
So you only get the fate.
yeah, so that double one, like if you get that, it's just like, well, yeah, that's useless until I've actually got any might. So that's not great. And the master of the double 6 on Path of the Stalker is Master of Terrain. The hero is not slowed by any type of terrain. Well, he's not anyway. So
Yeah.
you don't want to. Obviously, you get to roll again until you get something, but you don't really want to have to, not get something that should be double 6. You want your double 6 thing to be something. So the double 6 on 1 is not very good for you, a spider, and the double 1 isn't very good. So brutal power attacks are horrendous. I think festering strike. Is that? I'm just going to be different to you because I can be. I'm gonna say Path of the Stalker. Both of them have got Fell Sight on there, which is fine. Path of the Stalker's got Festering Strike. If you get that, then it means that they, rather than Poison Fangs, it's going to be Venomous Fangs. So the Venom special rule means you re-roll all failed wounding rolls.
Ooh.
So your Strength 5. 2 attacks and re-rolling anything that doesn't wound. So that's and
That's pretty.
And if your strength gets upgraded as well, strength 6. Hello, strength 6 and re-rolling all failed wound rolls, which there wouldn't be very many of.
No.
I don't know. I mean, both are good. Both are fun. I've had spiders on both, so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just annoying that it'd be lovely if they could have found a way to have just one spider, like you kind of not Shelob but Shelob, but one spider in your starting company, so you can instantly just go, here's a spider as a hero, but we can't. Anything else you want to say about this?
No, I think it's an interesting one. It's opening my eyes to different tactics with different types of playstyle. So getting spiders makes it interesting, and having actually
the one thing that stops this being a really good company from my point of view is you start with one out of 8 models being able to shoot. Which is not, and it's 5+ shooting. So you are very, very susceptible against armies with half decent, not even half decent, with just any shooting, because you have to get to them. You have to take the fight to them, which is kind of what Uruk's are all about. This like charging in, like going mental, but it means that if they've got bows, which most companies do have some bows, if you pitted Osgiliath and Cirith Ungol against each other, if you're a few games deep into it and they've got a few more rangers with bows, they are
just picking.
They're either picking you off or they are saying, no, this alleyway down here, come at us, fine. We've got 3 turns of shooting at you, hitting on 3s, before you can get to us. But by all means, stand with your one dude there, because you're not going to roll. Well, you roll for a reinforcement. If you roll a Mordor Orc with choice of war gear, are you going for bow? Probably not, because it's 5+ shooting. So no, they are very, very susceptible to shooting armies. That's my downside.
Even with the spiders, they'll shoot at spiders all day long.
Yeah. It's the increased movement of the spiders and warg riders or warg as creatures, which is gonna, you know, which is a way of combating that. Particularly if you can get fell sight on the spiders. But yeah, anyway, give me a rating out of 10.
Six.
6.
Mainly because 3 spiders with terror, swift movement. You know, I like that. I just like... Terror is a disgusting rule. Which is obviously you have to roll a courage test to be able to attack. And I just love that. I've fallen foul to it several times. So, that gets me up to 6. There's, you know, and the chance that having a 2-handed weapon, burly, and that +1 to wound, you know... A few games in with spiders, try and get someone else with another 2-handed weapon in there, you know, and probably throw a couple of wargs in there. You've got a pretty mixed team, but it's limited with the orcs to start with. I'm not the biggest fan of the orcs in there. That's just me. And the only other thing is, like you just pointed out, they haven't got much shooting. So it's covering ground is what they need to be able to do. So it's, you know, they haven't got the greatest defense. You know, the Uruk-hai, you know, will start with 4 with a shield as defense 5. You know, the spiders have no, you know, apart from we have to get onto a path of the warrior. You know.
Well, let's not forget we didn't mention it really, but the special rule for spiders. With ignoring wounds on a 5+, that is incredible. That would be the very first upgrade I took. It's like the spider's a hero. Okay, first upgrade. Yeah, I don't care what path it is. I'm taking that company hero. Yeah. I had a game with my Dol Guldur company because they've got the same special rule, but it's called Power of the Necromancer, and I managed to save 5 wounds in a single game.
Wow,
it was immense. So my
nice.
My wargy leader, Mr. Biscuits, I think he ended up getting wounded 8 times before he died, or something stupid like that. It's just like
it turned into a hedgehog.
Yeah, just there, just like bits falling off him everywhere. It's like, I'm fine. So yeah, that's the first thing I take with the spiders. So you're giving them just a 6.
6, yeah.
Okay. So I gave Mordor 8.5. I'm seeing so much potential. I mean, I think that exactly the same as Mordor last week. Just because Mordor orcs are very good, this company will be a grind, but I think very easily, within 2, maybe 3 games, you've got a spider, and all of a sudden, you've got something with 10-inch movement that has got terror that doesn't get slowed down by anything, with like the strength 5. You know, it is game changing. So I'm going to give this company a 7 out of 10.
7.
If they had better shooting, and maybe better shooting, and maybe a couple more advancements, then it would be higher. But I'm going to go for 7.
No, I think the lack of advancements is the downfall, and the second downfall for me is that on the reinforcements, having Mordor orcs, they're just weak. You know, I'm potentially spending 6 points every time, you know, when I'm rolling on influence. If I get a Mordor orc, I'm like, I don't want them. I'd be trying to get the Uruks, and obviously the spider all day long. So
yeah, I mean, it's only a Mordor orc, and so what? So if you rolled a 3, you're going to use like 2 influence points to take it down to nothing. I'd rather have nothing. I mean, but I think that raises the point about how and when you use your influence points. Like, if you really don't want a Mordor orc, then don't roll on the reinforcement table when you've only got 3 influence points, because that means that whatever you roll, that's what you get. So wait until you've got 6. Then if you roll that 1, you can use 3, where you either just swallow your medicine, or you use 3 to take it up to be an Uruk. So, yeah. Right. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to the Good Enough Battle Companies podcast. My name is Chris Piercy from Good Enough Scenery, and if you are looking for scenery for your wargaming board, then head to goodenoughscenery.com and see if you want me to make you a modular wargaming board, just like the one I'm making for myself at the moment, or the one that Stephen's got right next to him that he probably just sits and stares at lovingly.
I mean, I'm just going to show you it now because I can. I'm literally where I'm sat. She's just here.
Yeah, for those listening back, this is meaningless, but he is currently showing you his board in his little container out the back and how happy he is with it. Look, and he's got a beautiful cheeky smile on his face of all of the joy that it's bringing him. So if you want to feel that happy, then you know how to make that happen. But yeah, it's been good fun chatting over it, and we will catch you next Monday, or if you're listening back, then you won't. But
yeah,
if you're listening to this in 3 years' time, this is meaningless.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can follow myself on YouTube at Good Enough Scenery, TikTok at Good Enough Scenery, Instagram at Good Enough Scenery, and Stephen, where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram. I have YouTube, but it's very weak. Or in 3 years' time, there won't be lots of stuff on there. It's all at When I Can Hobby is my tag. So just Google that and you'll find me.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much everyone for listening, and we'll catch you for another episode soon.